to present Austin Faith Dialogue, brought to you by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries. In the weeks ahead, you will see these and other programs by various denominations. Gather gladness from the skies, take a lesson from the ground. Flowers do ope their heavenward eyes, and a springtime joy have found. Earth throws winter's robes away, decks herself for Easter Day. These lyrics from the poem entitled Easter by Gerald Manley Hopkins do indeed catch the springtime joy of the season. Today on Austin Faith Dialogue, we try to catch that same spirit. Please join us.
This is Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs program discussing the important crossroad of religion and life, produced by the Austin Metropolitan Ministries in cooperation with KTVC-TV. Austin Faith Dialogue highlights the interaction of the religious community with the social and cultural issues throughout our area. Now, today's edition of Austin Faith Dialogue.
Hello, I'm Richard Thompson, pastor of Central Presbyterian Church, and your host for this edition of Austin Faith Dialogue. Today, we're pleased to be at First United Methodist Church in Austin to discover the creative and recreative spirit which defines the new life so evident on the earth and within the hearts of people of every faith tradition. So it's fitting that we should join in common celebration with those in the arts who use the sights and sounds of music and dance to help us all catch the spirit. The Pinnacle Brass, a well-known instrumental group in the Austin community, will commence our program with Jesus Christ is Risen Today by Robert Williams. Members of the quintet include Bob Cannon, trumpet, Michael Hart, French horn, Craig Morris, trumpet, David Wilburn, trombone, and Kerry Williams, tuba. We are grateful for that sharing of melody and harmony as the means beyond words to uplift our awareness of the source of creativity. And it's that purpose which also defines the study of arts at the Episcopal Seminary of the Southwest, as led by Reverend William Adams, with the assistance of April Floyd, who gives particular leadership to liturgical dance. We're delighted to have both of you folks on our program today. And would like to just focus, first of all, Bill, on your study of the arts. I think as part of your study of liturgics
Yes,
at
indeed.
the Episcopal
That's right.
Seminary.
Yes.
Tell us how that all weaves in.
Well, the principal expression of our work in the arts is in music. Russell Schultz-Widmar is our organist and choirmaster and teacher of music. And Russell and I teach an introductory class in liturgical studies, which has very much to do with the integration of music in the liturgy itself. Beyond that, the program takes considerable notice of movement, gesture, posture, liturgical space. We do a lot with the setting in which the liturgy itself is enacted. Beyond that, there's a course that I offer in which students are free to choose their own means of expression as to their final project, and it's there that I get insight into the program in which I teach, actually.
The final project, this doesn't have to do with funerals, I
No, not that kind of final project. It has to do with the way the students choose to demonstrate their own competence in the material that we've studied.
Okay, so that they will use means other than just written.
Oh, indeed, yes. I've received stained glass, poetry, music, diaries, crossword puzzles, board games.
What about theater, drama?
Yes, I've had sketches, theater sketches, as well as sketches in pen and ink. It's wonderful to see the fruition of study, which has been done in history in large measure, expressing itself in such a variety of forms.
Okay. Well, April, one of these forms is liturgical dance. And give us your experience along that line, if you would.
Well, I've been involved in liturgical dance for quite a while, and it's been interesting working with the students at the seminary. Many of them have little or no dance training as they come in, and it's wonderful to see how learning to use their bodies as an instrument of expression of their faith, they go from a tightness to an openness, and this is communicated to the congregation in a way. The response from the congregation becomes aware of the word coming alive through the movement.
You know, one of the things that occurs to me as a pastor that is into services each week is that people don't necessarily stop and think how much movement goes on, even in a service that doesn't have liturgical dance. I mean, choirs processing in and out, people standing up, sitting down with the hymns, the movement that is done by the clergy or the lay readers, that it all communicates, and we're so oblivious much of the time to our body language, which sometimes can convey more power than verbal communication.
Indeed.
Or it can contradict verbal communication sometimes. If you're saying, be at peace, and then you're very tight up there. I mean, I thought about that when you said students come very often just inhibited, and you help open them up.
That's right, and often I enjoy taking movement that's already in the worship service and taking a particular movement and expanding that into a dance. For example, the carrying in of the elements for the Eucharist can be extended into a dance. There are several different things, just the bowing, the kneeling, the different posturing can be extended, elaborated, and suddenly becomes a dance.
Okay. We're going to have just a part of our tape here today with the dance that you and some others have done. And give us a little bit of a sense of the background of that, how that came about.
This dance, it's done to a hymn which was written specifically for a woman on the occasion of her ordination.
I see.
Written by Thomas Troger and Carol Doran. This takes the movement of putting the stole, the vestment, on the ordinand and turning that into a dance. As I said, taking that simple movement and extending that into a dance. The song itself is based on ideas that come from Psalm 104, where God is the creator as a tailor, a spinner, a weaver, and weaves a garment And so the song uses these images of the spinner, the weaver, and the tailor as God is the creator.
We'll have a chance to come back and reflect upon that after we see it. But as we come now to the dance itself, we look forward to the participation of Jeff Calder, who will serve as the ordinand to be invested in the dance, which will be led by April Floyd. Also participation by Nancy Bedford and Neil Orts, with singer Jim Friedel and instrumentalists Kathleen and John Kingslight. Following their presentation, we'll be taking a brief break, then to return with some of the creative and recreative spirit on Austin Faith Dialogue. But now let us open ourselves to the text of Psalm 104 and the texture of materials made for praise to the spinner who twisted and twirled, by Thomas M. Troger and Carol Doran.
Serving Austin means serving you. Each day, Austin Metropolitan Ministries is religion in action, providing affordable housing, caring for the elderly, marching against hunger, and much more. AMM promotes understanding, cooperation, and social involvement. So when we ask for your help, we're really asking to help you, Austin. To find out how you can help Austin Metropolitan Ministries help Austin through its member organizations, just call 472-7627.
As we return with the music of the Pinnacle Brass still resounding, we're glad for the contribution they have made to this day of celebration, the season of renewal, as they have played Canzona per Sonora No. 2 by Giovanni Gabrieli. We are pleased to have back with us William Adams and April Floyd of the Episcopal Seminary of the Southwest. Do you want to make sure we have that correct? Bill, you watched the video of the liturgical dance that April and others were participating in. What is your feeling about how that is a worshipful act as distinct from simply a performance act?
Yes. I think that there are two factors that would help to illuminate that question. One has to do with the participation that the congregation's willing to invest in any representative, be it the pastor, the choir, dancers, any other person who undertakes representative ministry in the liturgy. So that's one thing. The other is if the dance is steeped in the traditions of the community. That is, it expresses, like the liturgy itself, the symbols, meanings, experience that inhere in the liturgy itself and are not something else. They're not separated.
So if it's got an integrity in that regard,
Yes, good word.
as distinct from simply spectacle. And I think there's a certain suspicion on the part of people in churches about, well, this is like theater and not like worship.
Right.
And that's your standard by which to make the judgment.
Yes. I would think that it takes both players, the consent of the congregation. They have to have eyes to see, ears to hear that this is an offering, fair to say. The same way the pastor's work is an offering of the same sort. And also that the dancers need to be themselves people of spirit. And that needs to be manifest in the work that they do, in their bodies, which is surely the case with April and her dancers.
Give us an inside experience of that in terms of being one that is a worshiper yourself as you do this.
Well, it's interesting. One might think that you would need a lot of dance training in order to do liturgical dance, but that's really not the most important thing. I've had a lot of people who have little or no dance training, and like Bill was saying, it's really the spirit that makes the big difference. Once people become comfortable with their bodies and with using it, the experience of communication, using the body as an instrument, is a very spiritual thing, and the congregation participates in that.
So that it's, I think as I watch this particular, and I'm not going to say performance, this particular dance, as much an act of worship as the sermon is, that the folks that were working with you were not professional dancers.
That's right.
They were volunteers.
That's right.
And I was intrigued by the pattern that how you create a movement that expresses a psalm in this case. Give us a little sense of the process of how that came about.
Often we take the text, a word in the text that would bring to mind a movement, anything that anybody might do. You know, if you said a particular word or phrase, anybody could come up with a simple gesture that might communicate that. You take that gesture and you extend it, you draw it out, you make it larger, you amplify it, and it becomes a dance.
And in this case, the figure of speech was the sower, the
Right.
spinner, weaver.
And the weaver. We used props in this one, which I don't do very often, but I think in this particular dance it was effective. The unspun wool on a large spool, and the small loom and the shuttle, a large needle and thread.
Yes. Young man in the choreography was the needle.
Right.
I thought that was very clever. And I think it is creative, too. In the minute that we have with you, Bill, tell us about the extent to which the creative and recreative spirit, as we define our program today and part of this Easter celebration, is something that, if you were to say just in a few seconds what it is that you would like our viewers to take with them, what would that be?
Well, as regards, if people would consent to the possibilities that God's recreative spirit is contained somehow or expressed in their bodies, and see that acted out in this nourishing, recreative activity. April's dancing, whoever's dancing, if only the congregations themselves would dance, as the Shakers once did.
And that's what we're going to have an opportunity to see before our program is over, the Shakers as a dancing group. We want to thank April Floyd and William Adams of the Episcopal Seminary of the Southwest for being with us today, both as interpreters and demonstrators of the Spirit moving within and among us, both in this and in all seasons. And having gained an insight about this, the Shaker background of the melody and the pattern of the life, death, and resurrection of Christ in the lyrics of Lord of the Dance is something that we will now hear sung by Susan Fernandez, as accompanied by Alan Hennig.
I danced in the morning when the world was begun, and I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun, and I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth, but Bethlehem I had my birth. I danced for the scribe and the Pharisee, but they would not dance and they would not follow me. I danced for the fishermen, for James and John. They came with me and the dance went on. I danced on the Sabbath and I cured the lame. The holy people said it was a shame. They whipped and they stripped and they hung me high and left me there on a cross to die. I danced on a Friday when the sky turned black. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back. They buried my body and they thought I'd gone, but I am the dance and I still go on. Dance then wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance, said he. They cut me down and I leap up high. I am the life that will never, never die. I live in you if you live in me. I am the Lord of the dance, said he. Dance then wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance, said he, and I lead you all wherever you may be, and I lead you all in the dance, said he.
Okay. These lyrics of Sidney Carter are the most fitting way to conclude our program on the creative and recreative spirit. We'll be taking our leave today again to the sounds of the Pinnacle Brass playing Spirit Be Joyful by Bach. We offer special thanks to the First United Methodist Church of Austin for the use of their sanctuary and taping the musical portion of our program, and to Tracy Poe, producer of television ministry for that congregation, and Roger Lotz for serving as our gifted producers this day. I'm your host, Richard Thompson, on behalf of Austin Metropolitan Ministries, hoping that this season will be one of new life for each of you.
Thank you.